It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. I got a recent letter from Mike Cohn. I love these emails when I get them. In this email, Mike was talking a little bit about something that hits near and dear for me. He asked a question: are you creating value or delivering value? Now, for me, I know that those are two completely different things. And the first thought that crossed my mind is that the team works with the peers who provide them with information so that they can build tools or systems or products or services that are then deemed valued by consumers. But the product owner and other stakeholders and analysts are the ones who are responsible for identifying teams' wants and needs, or I should say, individuals' wants and needs, constituents' wants and needs, right? Consumers' wants and needs, as well as strategic readiness and variables like technological feasibility in order to determine where value can be accounted for. So Mike starts off the letter. He says, I was talking to a colleague a while back about the primary accountability of Scrum teams. Now, if you missed, we just did an episode like a week ago about accountability versus responsibility of different roles. So I think if you missed that, you definitely want to look that one up. They said that it's the job of an agile team to create value. Okay, let's pause there. I disagree, and so does Mike, right? An agile team's job is to deliver value, to build products and services that can be delivered that are going to provide value for the end user. It's not their job to create value. There is a subtle difference between creating and delivering value. For me, it's like the difference between baking a cake and making a cake. I can bake a cake. It only involves opening a box, adding water, putting it in the oven. I'd eat it myself, of course, but I wouldn't want to serve it to my company. But when my daughter makes a cake, she puts frosting on it, which is the best part, and often adds a little decorative flourishes with more frosting. She might write on the cake. She might even add sprinkles. Her cake is finished and potentially shippable. It could definitely be served at a dinner party or sold at a bake sale. In my mind, that is where you are delivering value. And that is so important, right? Creating value is only a start, but it's like a cake that hasn't been decorated or even frosted. Delivering value goes way further than that. It includes getting the new valuable thing into your users' hands and getting feedback from them so that you can make sure that you're continuing to meet and exceed expectations and that you are not just meeting the acceptance criteria, but that through meeting the acceptance criteria, you're delivering things that add value. And that's so important. Creating a product that the users will value is a necessary start, but the product only becomes valuable once it's delivered to the users in their hands and they're able to use it. He closes the email with saying, when a team goes beyond creating value and learns to deliver value frequently, that's when they've learned to succeed with Agile. And I do agree with that statement. But I think that sometimes one of the things that's a challenge for me, Mike, is that I've heard situations where the team has told me that after they're done working with the product owner to create the backlog items that they're going to do and explaining to the product owner why those backlog items are necessary, that then they were going to go through and build them. And then it was the product owner's responsibility to demo those to the stakeholders and see. And it made my head explode. I was like, this is so backwards. And I think the team member who challenged me the hardest, and this was a question I actually got, is why does the product owner need to understand what we're building if we're building a technical product or service? It's just their responsibility to make sure everybody's happy with what we build. It's not their responsibility to understand what we build. And I couldn't disagree more. I think that part of this that goes uncelebrated, Mike, is that there is importance in creating value. So that first part is important. It's important for people to understand who their target audience is, what problem they're trying to solve, how they're going to go about doing it, what separates them as a primary differentiator from other products or services that are in the market. Why are we building a product now? I think all of those key things are important, and I think that sometimes we lean heavy on business value, and other times we lean heavy on consumer value. when we should have some balance in between. Because if we're talking about creating and delivering value, they're both equally important in a sense that you can't have one without the other. So, to use Mike's cake analogy, you can't have a good cake without having icing. And you can't have icing by, well, I guess you could have icing by itself, but it wouldn't be so great. It would be so much better if you had cake. And I think that the concept here, the message here is that we need to focus a little more on what we mean when we say we're creating value or delivering value, much like we would say if we're baking a cake or making a cake. And I think there is two different things there. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.